Compliance is the science. Everything that rhymes is obviously true. Everyone who works in the industry knows this for everything. What are the reasons why testosterone propionate is apparently superior to enanthate and Cypionate? The benefits of hormone replacement therapy come from stability. They do not come from fluctuations at certain times or rhythms based on what people think might be beneficial. It is stability.
Okay, everyone. As always, I hope you are all well. Welcome back to another one of my solo podcast rants here at Victory Men's Health. If you are in the United States and you are looking for the absolute best TRT clinic and the only TRT clinic in the United States that I am willing to put my name on as an endorsement, I strongly recommend you make the trip out to St. Louis to visit their amazing clinics. Today, I would like to talk to you about one of the most recent and seemingly pervasive fads in the TRT space in 2025, or the latter part of 2025, which is using testosterone propionate for TRT. Now, as someone who's been in the industry all day, every day for almost 7 years now, professionally, it is very clear to me that this is a fad that is not going to stick around for very long. Just like all fads, they come and go. And there is good reason why, if testosterone propionate was such a fantastic option for testosterone replacement therapy, which it is not, why it was not common practice to use it to date. Now, I have watched and I have read all the proposed reasons why testosterone propionate could or is, and for people who are listening to the audio, I just put that in inverted finger quotation commas, the optimal treatment protocol for TRT. And it is not the optimal TRT protocol for many, many reasons. In fact, I would argue that it has little to no merit, and the only time that testosterone propionate would be suitable would be if it was the only thing available for people using testosterone injections compared to using nothing at all. Kind of like an emergency backup supply if the world supply of all the effective long-acting esters magically vanished off the face of the earth for some unknown reason. So, why is this? So I think it's best to begin with a discussion of what are the reasons why testosterone propionate is apparently superior to enanthate and Cypionate. So the argument that is proposed is that because testosterone propionate has a shorter half-life, and if you administer it daily, you are able to get more variation in your testosterone levels through exogenous administration, meaning external, that more closely mimics the body's natural diurnal rhythm over a 24-hour cycle, because what people do correctly identify is that when the body is naturally producing testosterone, there is some degree of daily fluctuation where testosterone levels peak in the morning and gradually drop off in the afternoon and early evening. The latter part of this is true. However, testosterone propionate does not offer benefits over Cypionate and enanthate for this purpose. The reason for this is that people don't seem to understand the pharmacokinetics of propionate itself. And when people are using ChatGPT in place of their own brain to think, this creates a lot of problems because the information that is spat out to them by either the AI-generated response at the top of Google or ChatGPT is wrong. So when we're looking at the propionate half-life, this is purported to be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. It's not. The half-life of propionate is actually 0.8 days. Now, if you go onto Google Images and search testosterone propionate half-life, and if you have an understanding of what half-life means, which is how long it takes for the body to eliminate half of the medication, you will turn around and say, no, it actually is longer than that. This graph is created when they measure the testosterone levels from using propionate every 24 hours. It is not measured in an hour-to-hour fashion. Therefore, the graph that you are looking at is misleading because it is actually missing the peak levels of testosterone propionate because it occurs much earlier than at 24 hours. And if you read the actual literature on this, which if you go to Wikipedia, you can actually click through to that as a citation if you want to and read the actual article cited, not Wikipedia itself, you will see that testosterone propionate rapidly peaks and declines significantly at the 24-hour mark of administration. Now, the natural fluctuations in testosterone are not this significant over the course of 24 hours. So you're actually creating a much greater variance than your body would naturally produce. The other part of this, which is wrong, is that when you are creating this artificial spike, you are not doing it at the same time or in the same fashion that your body would do it naturally if it did. Because to do this, you would need to wake up at somewhere around midnight or 2 a.m. to administer your injection, because the testosterone levels actually begin to spike in the very early hours of the morning or late hours of the night, depending on how you want to look at things, midnight to 3 a.m. So when you are creating this spike exogenously, synthetically, whenever you wake up, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever, you're not actually mimicking anything close to what the body would be doing naturally. So creating this degree of spike and fluctuation that is greater than the body's natural variance, testosterone levels oscillate by about 30 to 50% over a 24-hour period, is completely out of alignment with this proposed benefit of what testosterone propionate is doing. That's number one. The second thing to look at from a pragmatic and, I guess, compliance standpoint, and to quote Stan Efferding, and everyone who works in the industry knows this, for everything, compliance is the science. Everything that rhymes is obviously true.
If you've just started TRT, it is completely normal to feel overwhelmed and confused. There's a lot of new territory to cover, and there is a lot of conflicting information. I wrote TRT 101 so that you can have everything that you need to know in an instruction manual in one place that you can refer back to, that you can have all the questions answered before they even come up. TRT 101 is my best practice approach for TRT from start to finish, and it contains everything that you need to avoid all the challenges and pitfalls that I've seen come up in my clients over the last 5 years. You can check it out via the link below.
Testosterone propionate necessitates daily injections. One of the advantages of injecting Cypionate and Enanthate daily is that you get stable levels, which propionate does not supply. My colleague, Dr. Todd Lee, very accurately describes this metaphorically as you get a sawtooth level of testosterone when you are using propionate daily. This is very true. So not only do you miss the point of doing daily injections, which is about stability, but you are now actually tethered to doing your daily injection, because the benefit of doing Cypionate and Enanthate daily is if you are traveling or something comes up, or life happens over your entire lifetime that you're going to be on this treatment. If you do skip an injection, or you do delay an injection because you're doing a long haul flight, or you go away for the weekend and maybe you forget to bring your needles, or you forget to bring your testosterone, or you leave it here, or whatever, life happens. You've got so much testosterone banked in the body due to these longer half-life stacking and building up in the system that you're not really going to have an appreciable decline in levels over the 24 hours that you miss your shot. This is very forgiving. And this is one of the benefits of doing daily injections, is that it is a forgiving protocol when it comes to lapses in compliance, because life happens. When it comes to propionate, because you've eliminated more than half of the medication by the time your next shot rolls around, assuming you're doing it on a strict 24-hour period, this negates one of the best things about doing Cypionate or Enanthate injections daily, which is that you have a forgiving protocol if something comes up. So your levels will be on a steady trajectory down until you do your next shot. So you are tethered to sticking that needle into your deltoid every single day. This is a drawback. The other point that I will also add as maybe not a reason that it's a terrible idea, but if we're adding to a list of cons, is that testosterone propionate is generally, one, not available in terms of prescriptions because it's not indicated for testosterone replacement therapy in many countries. That's also a drawback. But the main drawback is that it's 100 milligram per mil. So you're also going to be having to go through double the amount of vials. You're going to have to inject double the amount of oil. And if you're in Australia or Europe and you're listening to this, you will be injecting more than double the amount of oil, because in these countries, we use a 250 milligram per mil solution of enanthate or cypionate. So you're having to inject double or more than double the amount of oil. You are tethered to doing your shot every single day, and you are creating variants in your testosterone levels that far exceed what would be naturally produced by the body. There is no advantage or no benefit to why testosterone propionate would be a preferred choice when longer acting esters are available. And the other thing that I would pose people to look at, if you would like to run an experiment on yourself to prove me right and prove yourself wrong, which many people are not willing to do, but I would encourage you to do so, because it is very important to ridicule your views and beliefs of the world from every angle to see if they hold true, which is also known as the scientific method, is if you are doing daily shots of cypionate and enanthate, I would encourage you to get a peak and a trough level. So go and measure your levels 2, 3, 4 hours after your injection versus at a 23 to 25 hour trough the next day. And you will see that because of the pharmacokinetics of cypionate and enanthate, even though it has a 4 to 5 day half-life, again, people conflate mean residence time with half-life, because it peaks on day one, you are actually getting a peak and a fluctuation in your levels, although it is very mild and not problematic, that does represent the body's natural fluctuation in these hormone levels every 24 hours. Again, is this in alignment with the body's natural timing of this? Not perfectly, but it's such a small variance that if that argument was a deciding factor, then this is not a drawback of cypionate and enanthate. Now, I do not think from practice, and again, people come up with these ideas and theories based on what they read on the internet, not what they actually practice in the field. The thing that I will restate for the 1,000,000th gajillionth time is that in practice, and again, not based on what I've read on YouTube, what I've read on Reddit or what I've seen on YouTube, the benefits of hormone replacement therapy come from stability. They do not come from fluctuations at certain times or rhythms based on what people think might be beneficial. It is stability. Stability reduces side effects, and it increases the benefits that we are looking to achieve from hormone replacement therapy when it comes to TRT. This is as true as me saying the sky is blue. This is a fact. This is a fact that is proven by thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, I would argue tens to hundreds of thousands of patients all over the world in a very large network of colleagues, where we have come together and shared this insight as being factually correct. So, if people want to inject propionate as their source of TRT, then that's fine. Go ahead and do that. It doesn't impact other people what you choose to do with your body. But for the sake of education and for the sake of putting out correct knowledge, this is not an advantageous or superior form of testosterone replacement therapy compared to daily enanthate and cypionate injections. Can this be done as a form of TRT if this is the only thing available? Sure, absolutely. Pellets can also work. They don't for the majority of people, and they are vastly, vastly inferior. But they can work for some people, and for some people they might be better than nothing. Testosterone, Androforte cream, Sustanon, Nebido, Reandron, which are different names for the same thing. All of these things can work better than nothing if they are all that is available. But the argument that they have some kind of superior benefit is objectively untrue. So, when it comes to doing testosterone replacement therapy, it is very important to work with someone who has done this thousands of times to be able to get you the results that you are looking to achieve. And what I have found from having discussions, and I will use the term discussion loosely because it tends to be aggressive comments that I reply to and then people don't respond. But what I have seen as a trend is that people who are using propionate to get more benefits from their treatment are not running comprehensive lab panels to identify what is going wrong with their treatment, And I believe that they are subjectively determining the outcomes of the success of their TRT protocol based on the dopaminergic spike they are getting from a rapid peak in free testosterone, which is having a transient improved effect on mood, motivation, and potentially sex drive and libido. And when it comes to testosterone replacement therapy, although some patients may have this as the primary fixation or goal of what they are trying to achieve, ultimately what practitioners are hoping to achieve is optimizing androgen levels in the body to have a protective effect against the primary diseases of aging and the deleterious outcomes of male hypogonadism. And improved mood, libido, and sexual function all come along with that as additional benefits, which are fantastic and very important, but they will not be achieved unless the individual is healthy in all systems of the body, because optimal testosterone levels do not override other disease states, other issues with other organs in the body, other hormonal deficiencies, or lifestyle factors which are detrimental to people's health. And although, for example, if you take some Adderall, or you use some nicotine pouches and caffeine, or some pre-workout and some stimulants, or whatever it is, that might give you some transient energy and make you feel better. Again, I'm using inverted commas for people who are listening to the audio. The true underlying issue is what is driving you to need those compounds in the first place, which in this example might be lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, too much stress, all these different factors going on. And if you are having issues tolerating longer esters, the issue may not be that the ester has something wrong with it if you are doing a proper protocol. It may be that there are other issues going on with your health that you have not had assessed by someone who actually knows what they're doing, is actually going to advocate for your best interests, and has the expertise and professionalism to be able to assess your entire circumstances as a human, everything from your blood tests, including all systems of the body, as well as your diet, lifestyle factors, stress, sleep, psychological health, all of these different things, and put together a picture of what areas you may need to work on, what areas you may need to follow up and test, and what areas you may need to investigate. I have seen people become tribal over this. I have seen people become extremely passionate and hostile about this. This is kind of weird. So testosterone propionate is simply a shorter acting version of testosterone. It does not have a benefit over longer acting esters due to the reasons I discussed. And if you are having trouble with these issues, rather than switching to something that you heard about on a YouTube channel, I would strongly recommend that you seek out someone who can assess your blood work, can assess your symptoms, can work out what's going on, so that you can tolerate from and benefit from optimal delivery mechanisms when it comes to testosterone replacement therapy. So, I hope that helped, and I'll see you all on the next one.
What is testosterone optimization therapy? This is optimizing testosterone levels rather than simply just replacing them. The provider will need to intrinsically understand how testosterone works and how the human body works. So when you follow this process of optimizing testosterone gradually, it allows the patient to acclimatize